Hey Mark, just wanted to make a quick update video on what I've been working on for the past 2 days, I guess. This is basically implementing the new structure we talked about, adding the motifs, and adding some additional things like the transition priorities that we talked about. So super excited. I think everything is working as we talked about. So let's quickly check it out. The first thing, and I think I mentioned this already on Discord, but the first thing I realized is I have this little data table where I have all of my different levels here, level by name, and I had this very complicated struct that had all of the different clips that I wanted to play on that level. All of those clips basically represented everything that the theme would have, right? That's the entire structure of clips per motif, and then the motifs per level, and then each, how many levels per mood, for example. So instead, I just made a blueprint class. And it's an actual blueprint class that contains all that information, and all you need to do here for your level is just reference that class. And I have a master class, BP theme base, and then all you would have to do is create a child class and then rename it to something that makes sense, like Pirates or Swan Lake, and add all your clip information here. That means that if I want to use the same track or the same theme in multiple levels, like in level 2 for example, all I would have to do is literally come here and select it from the list. Done. You don't have to fidget and add all of that information again, right? And this is what the blueprint looks like. You have a name for your theme. That's optional. We may use this or we may not. We could even use this to display the name if we wanted to, like a radio type thing. But here is really the crux of everything. You just have a theme, and then as you expand, you have the 3 different moods: casual, tension, action. Then you have the casual play order. This is the only mood where we can either do it sequentially or random. And this is going to be at the motif level that we talked about, not at the clip level. Tension and action are always going to be sequential, but in a way that only the first motif will play and will continue looping indefinitely until we explicitly tell it to change motifs. And I haven't done that part, but that's fairly simple to do. I need to create new code to set that new motif, basically. So this is going to be the only one that's going to have the 2 different play orders or states, like Elias calls it, right? Random or sequential. These guys are going to be directed. Notice now that when you expand the mood, you have 2 things: a list of levels, which, by the way, we're back to arrays. I figured out how to do that. So right now you can have 1 or many levels. Eventually, if we wanted to have 20 different levels, we could technically do that. How difficult would that be? As far as composition, pretty hard, I'm sure, but if we really wanted to, we could do that. And we have beats per minute per mood. This is something that I know you're going to be very happy about, right? So casual in this case is 115 for Pirates. I don't have anything for tension, but again, you can define your BPM per mood, and you can have as many levels as you want. Same thing for Swan Lake. Basically, I had a BPM 120, and you just have 1 motif here. And then I added motifs for Pirates, so I just wanted to show you real quick before I actually show you in the level. So for level 0 and for level 1, we have 2 motifs for level 0 and 2 motifs for level 1. And they obviously have to match as far as the number of clips, the number of motifs, and they're all going to use the same BPM, right? So that is the restriction, right? So when we select a random motif, we're going to have the same parallel motif on all levels. So if we say random motif 1 here, we're also going to be playing this right here, almost like a master track, like you said. Every motif has to have an equivalent motif at every single level, and they're all going to play at the same time. And you can switch levels basically by muting and unmuting different tracks of that master track. So when we come here, I simplified this thing. Now you have a priority level. So Here you'll see that I've added this nifty little subtitle. I think this is something you were talking about, but I think it's really interesting and fairly easy to add. Based on the action that you put here, your title will automatically change. And in this case, we wanted to change intensity. And if you come here and you change the intensity level to whatever you wanted, it would automatically change the subtitle here, making it really convenient for you to know exactly what you're changing. Same thing here for play a stinger clip. I'm automatically showing you the name of the stinger clip. In this case, is Dorian's Run Intro Low. And we're just taking this name and automatically putting it here. Same here for if you want to play a new theme, is giving you the name of the themes class, BP theme Pirates and BP theme Swan Lake. Again, just so you know quickly which new theme is this trigger going for. And we have a new priority, which is right here. Where is it? Here, transition priority. And like I mentioned, I decided to add a fourth one. We have normal. That's going to be at the end of the motif. We have high at the end of the clip, urgent at the end of the bar, and immediate at the end of the beat. So this could take potentially a long time. And obviously, in this case, I'm going to be using Pirates. Each clip is 8 bars. Each motif is 16 bars. So let's just go ahead and test out. Actually, before I do that, I'm just going to go ahead and hit play. And I want to show you that the Pirates are going to be playing the motifs at a sequential level. So if I click play, I'm going to go quiet here. And you'll see that each motif plays sequentially. And you can see here I have it selected here, the actual class. And motif 0 is these 2 clips. And motif 1 is these 2 clips. It's about to switch motifs now. And now it switches to motif number 2, which is L1_3, which is what you see here. And I'm going to go ahead and change levels. And then it goes back to number 1. Obviously the tracks don't sound aligned because I don't have as many clips from that Pirates thing to make the levels smooth, but the whole point is it does work. So now now they have motifs. If I went back to Pirates and said I want the motifs to play randomly, it'll actually wait till the end of the motif and then pick another random motif. And right now it literally can be random, meaning that it can pick the same one 3, 4, 5, 10 times in a row. That's the nature of randomness. But you know, I could always try to make it a bit more complex. But let's just leave it at that for now. So let's just test the transitions here. For this new track, we're going to be playing Swan Lake, and right now the transition priority is normal. So we're going to wait till the end of the motif. Notice that it's now playing the second clip on the same motif. Huge lag here, but again, this because we have 16 bars. And now you can see here that it switched to Swan Lake, clip 1, level 1, motif 1. If I came back and said, actually the transition priority should be high, meaning wait till the end of the clip, now notice the difference. lot smoother, but obviously you have to take into consideration the length of the clips. And now urgent, that's gonna change it, and you can see here I put it wait until the end of the bar and then transition. So this is literally the next bar will go ahead and transition. All right, and the last one I haven't implemented yet, that's gonna be immediate. I think immediate is supposed to be better than urgent, right? That means like right now. This is gonna be on the beat, and this is what I was mentioning earlier, that I have to find out a correct way of doing the beats. I think I figured it out based on what I'm talking to you and looking online, but I do want to kind of show you what I mean of why I need the beat calculated properly, right? So here basically I have two separate events. One that is quantized, says a quantization time type of 1 bar. In other words, I am doing checks on every single bar based on the BPM of that mood, right? So I give the time synth a BPM, and I say, now with this BPM, I need you to tell me, tick every bar, right? And that's how I'm getting the correct timing. But for beat, I need to have a separate event, and I need to choose a quantization type that would support the beats, right? So from what I'm looking online and from what you told me, basically, if your time signature is 4/4, which is the most common one, right? I think that's the one you said you're using to write your music. 4/4 means you will have 4 beats per time measure or between bars. So bar 0 to bar 1, you'll have 4 beats. In other words, the quantization needs to be 1/4 of a bar, right? If the accounting that I'm using per bar is 1 bar, then for the beat it would be 1/4 bars. And here are the list of things that I have here. So what I would assume is I could either ask explicitly in the theme a field that says how many beats per bar, and then just invert it, right? So if you tell me I have 4 beats per bar, which basically would be a 4/4 time signature, then I would automatically select quantization type 1/4. If you tell me that you have 8 beats per bar, then I'm assuming I would take the 1/8. I don't know what these T's mean, so maybe you can tell me what that is. But I'm assuming that's the correct way of doing it. It's not necessarily that I need to calculate the time in milliseconds based on the BPM. It's more about how do I subdivide this event as far as this list here. If you tell me you have 2 beats per bar, I'm assuming it's 1/2. 1 beat per bar, then it will be 1 bar, right? Half a beat per bar, which obviously doesn't happen, will be like 2 bars. So does that make sense? Would it make sense? And you can see I already have a variable called time signature, but this is not correct, because for this to be 1/4, the time signature here would be 4/4. So forget about this, but I'm thinking of having an array, a list, where I have options of time signatures like 4/4, 2/4, whatever, and then I kind of figure out this, or maybe I simply ask, give me the number of beats per bar, and then I invert it, and that would be the quantization type. So here it is again. What do you think? Hopefully I explained it a little bit better, but that's kind of what I need to figure out to have the beats go correctly. Now obviously for your music, if you're always going to be on 4/4, then I can just leave this hard-coded. But the point here is I want to make it modular. So in the future, if you ever want to write in another time signature, I don't want to have to tell people, for example, to come in here to this part of the code and manually change this dropdown. I want it to be seamless. You'll also notice that I've added well, let's just put it this way. I also added, even though I haven't tested it, I've added the theoretical functionality of having different bar lengths per clip. So you could have a motif with a clip with 2 bars and then 4 bars, and it should technically work. but I haven't tested it correctly yet. So again, I'm thinking like I'm trying to give you as much flexibility as possible because I know it's hard enough already to make your music sound good and work perfectly in this super convoluted structure that we came up with. So yeah, let me know what you think. I'm super excited to hear your track, your generic track. Um, Whatever it is, I do ask you, please make it, I'm gonna say action oriented. With Swan Lake, because it's so subtle, it's a bit hard for me to figure out if the timing is correct, which is why I'm still using the Pirates theme, even though it's technically less complete, because the beat is so much clearer for me to hear. Like I can hear as a non music person, like exactly, does this sound right or not? Is it really going around? So whatever that track is, please make it um, obvious. Don't make it subtle, so I can actually test this out. And so the two things that I'm going to be working on next is this beat portion here, how to do the transition per beat and count the beats correctly, and um, how to change moods, and that is the next portion. So yeah, I got enough on my plate for the next day or two, which hopefully should give you time to sit down and make something cool. So anyway, let me know what you think, and I'll talk to you later.